Hello, beautiful friends. It's Erica. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at the dance between Mars and Venus for the upcoming next 4 months. Basically, February, March, April, and May of 2022. We're going to be covering the what I call the lover's dance here for the next 4 months, because they're essentially going to be transiting the same signs around the same time. So it's like they're going to be hanging out together in the same room during the next 4 months. So this video is going to take an overview of those transits in particular, and the effect it's going to have on Mars and Venus energy in particular. And before I pull cards, I want to start immediately by sharing a vision they were giving me as I was connecting prior to coming on the camera. And I was being shown the masculine and feminine energies, obviously Mars and Venus representing the masculine and the feminine energies, being washed, like they were being washed over by waves of energy. It's like just when they thought they had acclimated to the new energy, they were brought another wave of energy and another wave, and it was a very soothing, energizing, soothing and energizing, ironically, both together, effect it was having on the two of them. And they were showing them basically ascending a very, very high mountaintop together, climbing really, really, really high up. And then they were showing that Mars and Venus, both represented masculine and feminine, were standing on the top of an incredible mountain peak, looking down on all that they have traversed to get up to the top of this mountain. And together they're sort of, appreciating where they are, but they're also reviewing how far they've come. They're looking back. Like, when you go on a massive hike to the top of a mountain and you look down and you can see where you've walked and hiked. And you look down and you're like, man, that looks really small. I can't believe we were all the way down there and now we're all the way up here. That's the feeling I'm getting for this period of time for Mars and Venus, where it's like they're looking down and seeing what looked like was a massive peak that they thought they were climbing really doesn't look that big from up here. But while they were in it, it felt difficult. They didn't know what was around the next bend. But then yet being from this vantage point looking down, they're basically reflecting on their journey that it took them to get here. So with that, I'm going to be doing a bunch more videos in this series, because I feel like this particular season of Mars and Venus transits is going to be highly important for all of us and where we're going in our daily lives. So do stay tuned for several other pieces to this video that I will be releasing forthcoming. And there will be an extended for those of you interested. The link is down below. So we're going to start off by looking at the energies of Mars. I'm going to pull the cards first, and then we're going to go through the energy of Mars in Capricorn, Mars in Aquarius, Mars in Pisces, and then when he gets into Aries. And I'll give you guys the dates of all these happenings here in a moment. And let's look at Venus in Capricorn. Venus as she moves into Aquarius. Venus in Pisces. And Venus in Aries. Now, I will tell you, as I'm recording this, Venus and Mars have been in Capricorn together since basically around the end of January 2022. So they've just been hanging out in Capricorn, and Venus stationed retrograde in Capricorn, I believe it was December 19th of last year. So she was in Capricorn, then she retrograded in Capricorn, and now she's back in Capricorn along with Aries. And interestingly enough, when they move into Aquarius on March 6th, they literally do that within 7 minutes of each other. So we're talking basically instantaneously when it comes to in astrology speak here. So we're going to start by taking a look at the energies of Mars in Capricorn. So he's getting the Orphaned card, and Venus in Capricorn. Now again, this will be leading up to March 6th timeframe, and she's getting the here and now in protection. And so the Orphaned card is kind of this energy of feeling abandoned, feeling alone, feeling lonely. The here and now energy for the feminine aspect of us. I'll just take a quick step back for those of you where this is somewhat new. Basically, Mars is the masculine aspect of how we approach relationships, for example. Mars represents how we're motivated, how we're energized, what we desire, what actions we take, how we feel sexually. And Venus represents the more feminine aspects of love, which is how are we loving? How do we express our feelings? What do we value? Venus also represents money, finances, and also how we beautify. And so these are both aspects of self, regardless of if you are masculine or feminine energy. In your primary energy, this is more the outside influences we will all be feeling during this time. But when we get the Orphaned card in the protection, this is about the essence of abandonment, feeling like you're apart because intimacy is a little too threatening. And this is where the masculine may have been looking at inappropriate family structures in order to conceal old wounds. This is where, when Mars has been in Capricorn since January 24th, what's been coming up is the inner child wounding within us. Where have we been abandoned? Where have we chosen relationships that were not appropriate because they remind us of what's familiar? Where we, where do we keep ourselves? How do we keep ourselves safe within a structure because we don't want to deal with old wounds? And this is where the masculine has been really reviewing of what he needs to do to heal the past. This is where he has been looking at not abandoning self. This is where the masculine has been really reflecting on where he has orphaned himself on his life's journey. It's like, where have you abandoned yourself? Where have you started doing things because they felt familiar? Maybe you've stayed in a job or a relationship because it's just felt familiar and comfortable, but it's really not feeding your soul. And so this is where the masculine has been really connecting and recognizing his patterns and deciding to interrupt them. And it's interesting that the feminine, the Venus in Capricorn has been getting the here and now. That is about being present in the moment. And when it's in the reverse in this particular deck, and it's interesting, they're both getting a 5. So this is the 5 card and this is the 32, which adds up to a 5. So the 5s is an energy of transition and change. It's an energy of necessary change. But, the feminine energy here, while she's been in Capricorn, she's been looking at and evaluating, looking into the past, thinking back to where things could have been different. There's an essence of nostalgia here. And it's almost a nostalgia for the past and a romanticizing of the future and hoping that the future is going to be better. This is where it's like you're so focused on what has been and what could be that you're ignoring what's here in the present. It's like it's like the feminine energy in Capricorn has been feeling a sense of maybe not being grounded and being a little bit caught in the illusions of the past and the illusions of the future, to where she might be missing an opportunity right in front of her. So you can see where the Mars and Venus energies, when they're in Capricorn, both together have been kind of addressing the concept of illusions and structures and where we have not been authentic, where we might be romanticizing and reminiscing. Now it's interesting because while Venus has been in Capricorn and Mars has been in Capricorn, we did have a Mercury retrograde, which does bring up the feeling of nostalgia, returning to the past, reevaluating. So we have this energy where it's almost like the feminine has been looking at where she can get what it is that she desires in the here and now. And I'm actually going to turn these cards over kind of as we go and move in. So we're going to move now to, and I might get a little bit of extra here as well as we go, but I'm just kind of want to get a little bit of the overview. I'm actually going to pull a tarot here. It's been on the mind of the masculine with this abandonment where he's abandoned himself. So this is what he's seeing from a different perspective. He's understanding where he has kept himself stuck in the world, kept himself stuck in the structures. Because remember, Capricorn is an earth sign, and that's about structure, institutions, jobs, anything relating to something tangible that is somewhat institutional even. So he's been really getting, becoming enlightened within self. And the divine feminine here, again, she's getting the Four of Pentacles. She's been holding on to the past. Looking at the past, being afraid to let go of the past in order to open up to the future. So, being ready to open up, being ready to move into the energy of the five. See, so the four is security and stability. And here we have the five energy of the here and now, which is she has to go through that transition. Letting go of things that she needs to let go of. So moving now into when they move into the sign of Aquarius. This happens on March 6th, literally within 7 minutes of each other. Oh, so a masculine gets the no place like home. Another 5 card. Do you see how he has flipped over the 5 energy to be upright here? This is where the masculine feels a sense of home, what matters to him, what feels like something that he has always wanted, what makes him feel safe, what makes him feel secure. And the feminine here is in the energy of serendipity in the reverse. So the masculine is feeling a sense of returning to home, meaning almost like this inner knowing that he's always had within him, and suddenly feeling at peace and at home with his new understanding that he has developed since Mars has been in Capricorn. Because the Hanged Man is about becoming enlightened. If your life isn't moving forward, you're needing to see something. And all of a sudden, boom, the light turns on in this house, in this home. When he moves into the sign of Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is a very friendly sign. It's a very expansive sign. And it can be a very adventurous sign. But the No Place Like Home card is about authenticity. Coming home to self. See, because he starts off abandoned and then he returns home to himself. Feeling comfortable in his own skin. This is where it signals really for the masculine that he's able to trust himself and feel at home with himself, his knowing, his decisions, what he feels good with. This is where the masculine really connects to knowing who he is. This is where he operates from a place of dignity and integrity. This is where he holds his head up high because he knows exactly who he is, what he wants. And it's like he sees himself with a more objective point of view. And because he loves himself, he's ready to open up to new companions, new friendships, new relationships. This is where he begins, because he feels a sense of peace within himself, he begins to experience that in his outer world. And it's like I'm getting the image of the Chariot card, which is that energy of when the inner world matches the outer world, suddenly that's when things lock into gear and can move forward. So let's get a tarot card for this as well. Here it is, the Empress. He's ready for a new life. He's ready to birth a new life. He's ready for his feminine. There could be a lot of people. I mean, this has been coming through in the February readings. A lot of people are making decisions about relationships and jobs or things that they've been in for the long haul. And this is where they're ready to birth a new life. Many people are opening up to a sense of home within self, knowing that they can be successful, knowing that they can be nurtured and abundant when they connect to what it is that they truly desire. So this can be literally the masculine getting an enlightened, the Mars energy, feeling a sense of, I know what life I want. I want to go for it. I'm at peace with knowing what I want, and it's not where I was before. And for the feminine here with this serendipity card in the protection energy, that is a message of fate, of the universe aligning things. When it's in the protection, it's almost like there could be some things and important lessons coming in for the feminine that she needs to learn before she hits the jackpot, right? It's like sometimes if you feel like certain events that you know are either on their way to you or coming to you, and they're not coming to you, this is where there may be a bit of a setback and a disappointment here. Yet there is really a silver lining in the cloud. It's almost like you're maybe where you may have thought something was going to happen. You're supposed to learn a big lesson before you get what it is that you desire. Now, it may come in a different form than you expect. It may not be what you thought was going to be your path, but at the end of the day, it's even better. It's kind of like, it's almost like they're showing the feminine energy, the Venus energy, like the prize. And she thinks, okay, like, get me the prize already. Where's the prize in my life? Like, I know that's going to be my prize. Why isn't it here yet? Like, hello, can't I just open this prize or this present? And the universe is like, no, you're not appreciating the present yet. You need to learn something about yourself before you get that present. The present is still here for you, but we're not just going to gift it to you. And while that may be frustrating to hear in some capacity, it's all for the beautiful blessing. It's asking the feminine not to miss the lesson in the achieving of the blessing or in the receiving of the blessing. Because this is a card all about the energy of good luck and fortune. And it's kind of just like, no, no, no. Like, it's almost like, I'm getting the vision of a parent where they're like, the kid's like, okay, I want it. And they're like, no, no. Like, what did you learn through this experience? Like, before you get it, what did you learn? What have you learned? Did you learn something about yourself in this? And the kid's like, yeah, I just want the present. And the parent's like, no, I'm not giving it to you until you can demonstrate to me that you have learned through your experience. And once you really let that sink in, there you have it. And because this is in the feminine energy, the Venus energy, this is really about how we receive the blessing, right? Because the feminine is about receiving. Let me get a tarot card here for her as well. The Chariot. See, that's the victory. The blessing coming. It's like, no, it's been held back. and suddenly it appears. We've got 4 tarot cards on the table, and we already have 3 major arcana, which is a big deal. So we have this shifting within of an arrival. This is the masculine and feminine. This is why they were on top of the mountain. It's like, no, you're not going to be able to appreciate being on top of the mountain until you reflect back on how hard it was to get here, what you learned along the way. What did you learn in your ascension of this mountain peak, divine feminine? And it is, the masculine is ready to return home, ready to return to authenticity. So when they both move, so then we have here Venus moves into Pisces on April 5th, and Mars moves into the sign of Pisces on April 14th. So about 9 days later. So what we have here is the feminine aspect. Venus's energy is the truth be told in the protection mode. This is about a doorway to a new life. The wisdom gained. Do you see how, again, this is about the wisdom? What have you learned along the way? This owl is here holding a door to a new life with hearts flying right out of it. So what is she meant to understand? What truth is she meant to understand? For some of you, this is where you're moving on from, situations that have served their purpose. Because sometimes a lot of relationships are breaking up right now in order to open everybody up to a higher form of love. Yet this is where the feminine is being called to really understand what she learned. Instead of just like being in a hurry to get on with the rest of her life, it's like the universe is going, no, slow down. Like, really appreciate what you've learned through this. Don't just be in a hurry to get to the next thing. And I feel that's the energy coming through here. And you see how, again, this is another 5. This one's a 9. The 18 card, the serendipity card. So it's like she thinks she's right on the brink of a new beginning, but there's still something left to be learned. And then it drops back to a 5. Again, transition, change. The card number 14. And in the protection energy, this is a message coming through about acceptance, honesty, being really clear in your communication. Where has she not been clear? Where has she been honest or actually not been honest with herself or other people? When it comes to love and relationships, this is where, hey, divine, hey, feminine energy, hey, Venus, where have you been unhappy in your life, but you've been in denial? This is where she's reviewing where she's been in denial. This is where she says to herself, you know what? I want to be only authentic from now on. This is where she asks for truth. Maybe she won't like what she hears, but it's going to be the key to opening up to a bright, brand new future. But it's about setting herself free with the truth, right? The truth always sets you free. So let's get So this is where you're looking at your inner energies, right? Intuitively, you're going to know what it is you need to let go of. And here's that truth. You're going to let go of anything. You're going to be truthful. You're going to be honest. It's not going to be any drama. You're going to get rid of anything that is not honest, that is not aligned for you. Now, remember, there's a lot of ways that these energies can play out. So take the messages as they fit here. But the feminine is ready to cut out anything that is not of the truth, whether it's within herself. This is when she's in Pisces, because Pisces energy can be very romantic, very dreamy. it can be somewhat illusory as well. And she just wants to cut through the sort of the fogginess, the idealistic aspect, and be like, no, I need the truth. I need the truth. I want to be truthful. I want to live my life from my truth. And so the masculine here is getting the fork in the road in the protection mode, which means he is making decisions. There's a choice here. There's absolutely a choice that's being made with where to go, what choice to make. You know, he knows now what direction he wants to go. And the fork in the road is about thinking about the consequences of your decisions, making a choice that is needing to be made instead of putting it off any further. It's that decision to take the lead. But this is where the masculine is going to be feeling an energy, because he knows where he wants to go. But when Mars is in Pisces, there's going to be this feeling of you can't stay where you're at. You have to make a choice. The universe says, listen, if you've been stuck at indecision forever, you can't be there any longer because you're going to lose everything. It's almost like there's that fork in the road, and the road starts, and you're standing at that fork, and the two paths are diverging like this, and you're going to be abandoned here in the middle. You're going to miss everything. And that's the energy that the masculine will be in when he is in the sign of Pisces. So, because this is basically saying, when you don't make a choice, when you're stuck in indecision, you are making a choice. You are making a decision. You're just choosing not to choose or to decide. And this is also where the masculine energy is going to stop letting other people make the decisions for him. This is where he suddenly has to take responsibility with his life. This is where he's been in anxiety, loss, anxiety and confusion. And the universe is just like, you have to do something to change this in your world. So let's get a tarot card and see what another message around this decision. Okay. We have a lot of cards here. 4 of Swords, 5 of Wands, 9 of Cups, Death, Ace of Wands, Queen. Okay. Not surprised. I'm going to keep this one here for a bonus card. This is where he's been really overthinking things. He's been doing his healing. He's been conflicted here. But he's also stayed hopeful, dreaming about what he wants. What is it that I desire? I maybe need to put an end to something with this Death card. Something has got to come to an end in order for me to be reborn into my new life. I want this new beginning that's very purposeful. I want to move towards that which I love. I want to move towards a better relationship. But in order to do that, I need to let go of the past. I cannot hold on to the past. So do you see how it's like he's been thinking, he's been conflicted, he's been hopeful, but he knows something needs to end. He's got the direction he wants to go. Very clearly, the universe is giving him his direction. And it's like intuitively he knows he wants to go for what he loves, but he has to let go of the security and the stability of the past in order to get his blessing. And what is this one? The Lovers. I mean, mic drop. I have to just probably stop there. What was I saying about coming into a higher level of love? I know how hard it is to let go of relationships. I know how difficult and painful it is. And this doesn't even mean that relationships have to be all that bad for you to be, your soul to be calling to let go of them. Certainly there are the toxic and the unhealthy relationships, or toxic and unhealthy work environments even. This doesn't have to apply to relationships, but obviously with Mars and Venus, this is how we express in relationships. Here it is. The Lovers. It's like, who do you want? What do you want? Does this align with that love that your soul knows that you desire? And that's going to be hard for some of you. And I understand, but that's why intuitively the feminine, the Venus energy, knows what she needs to cut out, knows what needs to be let go of. She knows the clarity. She knows, this is like, let's let this be swift. The Queen of Swords, when she slices something out, it's clean, it's quick. Honestly, that wound is as clean as possible because it's done with a sword. I know that's kind of a graphic example, but that's how the sword energy is. It's like clean, swift, so that even though it's painful, it will heal cleanly, as opposed to it being a messy situation. All right. So lastly, this video is going on super long, so I hope that this has been supportive for you. I'm going to be doing some more videos here in the future where I may break down each of these a little bit more in depth here just on the channel. It depends on all the other projects I have going on. If you guys would like that, if that would be helpful, please do comment below. And also, if you do like this video, I would appreciate a like, a comment, because it helps other people find this video. So lastly, we're going to see what happens. Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. So Aries is the first sign, the leader, the go-getter. Let's make things happen. It's initiating energy. So we have on May 2nd, the feminine goes into the sign of Aries. What is her energy? She has the Imagine card in the protection. This is a card of expansion. What is it that you desire? What is it that you want? Can you see your life moving forward in ways that you never have imagined before? Or where have you been not seeing? It's about turning imagination into manifestation, but it's also about breaking out of any illusions. And so this is where she sees things as they truly are and not as she was hoping it would be, right? Do you see this theme here for the feminine is like nostalgia for the past, like wishing for maybe something, holding on to something from the past, hoping for something in the future. It's like, no, let's look at where she is now. What is she meant to learn? Where is she meant to be honest with herself? And this is an energy about seeing things as they truly are and not as you hoped or imagined that they would be, and letting go of any fear around that. Because if you're, it's like, this is giving you permission to envision a brand new life. Maybe this is where you thought something scary would happen, and then suddenly, like you thought, it felt like you were basically imagining the worst, and all of a sudden it's like, no, that was an illusion. It really wasn't the worst. This is really a good thing. It's almost like, again, we get that theme of the blessing. Stay grounded, stay real. When you, it's like she could be imagining the worst and realizing it's getting to the other side of it. This truth, whatever she's cutting out, is like, oh, darn it, what I was so afraid of really wasn't all that bad. In fact, I'm so happy that change happened. I'm so happy that lesson came in, because now my life is even better. You know, like maybe you get laid off from a job, and all of a sudden it's like you feared so much letting go of that structure, and then it's like, oh dang, like something even better is here. Or you feared letting go of the relationship, and all of a sudden you're realizing on the other side, I'm okay. Not only am I okay, I'm amazing. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to envision the future. In fact, let's get into a tarot card here. The Three of Wands, looking forward to a bright future. What she's been waiting on. What she desires. The Knight of Wands, things begin to move forward. Suddenly things begin to take off. That Knight of Wands moves really, really quickly. So as she's in this energy, then on May 24th, so about 3 weeks later, this is kind of the tail end of this little dance where they're in the same house. Eventually, now Venus is going to move into Taurus after this, and then, you know, Mars is going to be a little bit behind her. But where is he when he goes into Aries? Is the milk and honey in protection. Where has he not been appreciating what has been right in front of him? Where has he not been enjoying the fruits of his life? And now it's time to do this. It's card number 51. And when this card is in the protection energy, the reversed energy, this is a message around, you know, letting go of, it's about prosperity, abundance, authenticity, trusting that everything's going to be okay. And when it's in protection, this is where it's like the masculine sees where he has been choosing things for a momentary pleasure because it's a distraction from where he knows he needs to go. It's like a temporary escape. And the pleasure is fleeting. It's not sustainable. So this is where it's like, well, it's kind of like that energy of escapism. And, you know, this is where you might temporarily revert back to possibly what it is you were leaving behind, because it might feel good in the moment, but as soon as that moment passes, it's like, oh crap, that doesn't change anything. In fact, I feel even worse. I feel even worse than I did before. And the masculine will continue to struggle. So this is where the masculine is going to try to take really good care of himself so that he does not behave. Because remember, Aries energy can be somewhat impulsive, right? So you're breaking up a relationship and you go back for one last tryst because you're like, oh, it'll be fine. Or, oh, maybe I want to get back with that person. And then it's fine in the moment. It's maybe even exciting in the moment. And then you're like, afterwards, the regret sinks in because it doesn't change anything. It's a temporary thing. It's a temporary thing. Because this is about having compassion for self, where maybe the masculine has chosen pleasure, temporary pleasure, over knowing what he needs to do to have courage to make his choice. Let's get a tarot card on this. The Nine of Pentacles. Yep, again, he could be single, but then going back for one last dalliance. But he's fooling himself. Where have I been fooling myself? Where have I been choosing the easier path? It doesn't even have to be a dalliance. It can just be choosing something that makes you feel better temporarily. It's almost like you could even be lying to yourself, where the masculine has been almost lying to himself, where he's been keeping things hidden from himself, deceiving himself. And that can be in his own thoughts. How does he justify things? Seven of Swords gets the Sun, but he has the chance for ultimate happiness. And so this is where it's like he accepts where he made choices in the past that kept him from his sun. The happiest card in the tarot deck. Maybe choosing temporary relief instead of making the tough decision. So my friends, I hope that this has been helpful. I'm going to head over to the extended, and what we're going to do in that extended is really take a look more in depth into the first part of this, more in depth into the Capricorn energy, what happens when they're both in Cap together. We're going to detail even more of what each of them is going through at this stage. That will be in this extended. And again, stay tuned for the next parts of this where I go more in depth here on the channel. If you have liked, I would appreciate a like, share, subscribe, comment if this video has resonated for you, if it has supported you, if you found it helpful. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, I send you love. Bye.